The January transfer window will be open on Wednesday. Who will Tottenham sign and who will Tottenham sell? Welcome back to another video. Now, the January transfer window opens this Wednesday. Not long to wait now. Will Tottenham sign anybody in the transfer window? Will we let any players go in the January transfer window? Will Christian Eriksen still be with us at the end of January or not? Will Jan Vertonghen sign a new contract at Tottenham? Who knows? I asked a number of Tottenham fans to name 3 players that they would like to sign for Tottenham in January, and I also asked 3 players that they would like to see leave Tottenham in January. Here they are. My thoughts will be in the next video. This will be part 1. I've asked so many fans. I'm making this into a 2-part video. So this is part 1. Look out for the next one in the next couple of days. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. 3 players you'd like to see Tottenham sign and 3 players that you would like Tottenham to sell. Come on, you Spurs.
I'd love Spurs to sign Gareth Bale. I said this last year as well, but probably now it's a bit more realistic. He's obviously got a year less left on his contract, and we're in our brand spanking new stadium. And yeah, I think it's now or never if that deal's ever going to happen. It's pretty obvious we also need a right back. Not sure who, but I'm sure Mourinho's got his little black book out on that one, and probably another central midfielder. With the likes of 3 leaving in January, it'll probably have to be 1 in, 1 out, because you know you can't have a squad too small. But if I was to pick 3, probably Christian Eriksen, to try and get some money for him if he's not going to sign that deal. Same again with Danny Rose. If he's not going to sign a deal, just try and cash in and try and replace him maybe if he goes. And probably free up some wages by selling Victor Wanyama. He's probably on quite a decent wage and he's not getting anywhere near the team, so that can be used elsewhere.
So the players that I think Tottenham should sign this January, I would go for Jack Grealish. I think he's looked great for Villa since they came up in the summer, and I also think he'd work really nicely in our attacking lineup as well. I also think James Maddison, I think he'd be a really great replacement if Eriksen does go as that playmaker role, and he's got a hell of a free kick on him as well. And I'd also think we need a top quality right back. Aurier just hasn't been up to it this season, unfortunately, and I'm not sure what's going on with Kyle Walker-Peters. So therefore, as a result, I think the players that we should sell would be Aurier. I also think Christian Eriksen, his heart just isn't in it anymore, which is unfortunate because he's been brilliant for the club. And I would also say Victor Wanyama. He's been great. That goal he scored against Liverpool was phenomenal. But I'd say get a bit of money for him and bring in a top quality right back.
3 players that I'd like to sign, and the positions are: there's be a new right back. Not too sure who's in the market. A midfielder, probably Grealish, if I was to think about it. And I think Jermaine Defoe, because I think Harry Kane's dried up a bit and he needs a bit of spark in the team up front. 3 players I like to sell would be Walker-Peters. I don't think he's up to it. Eric Dyer, carrying too much baggage and too much weight. And Rose, I reckon. We need a new back 4.
Just wanted to talk about my 3 signings and sellings for the transfer window. My 3 signings would be Jack Clarke as a recall. I don't really know if you can class him as a signing, but I'm going to anyway. Recall him from Leeds. Obviously, he's not been getting enough game time, and we need to get him back on the pitch and consistently playing football in order for him to really revitalise his career and bring himself back to the form that we saw last season for Leeds. Our second signing would be Kalidou Koulibaly, a statement signing for Spurs who could really reorganise and reform the back line and hopefully get us back to defending the way that we should be. And finally, I go with Ricardo Pereira from Leicester City, the right back. This is because Serge Aurier hasn't really been pulling his weight at right back this season. I know we've got options in Kyle Walker-Peters and potentially Juan Foyth. However, I think that another statement signing would go hand in hand with Koulibaly, if I'm honest. And I really believe that investment needs to be made into the defensive line. People keep arguing about how Eric Dyer isn't quite pulling his weight in his positions. However, I still believe that other signings are needed to come into the defence, as I believe that the defensive line is the problem. Okay, now we talk about my sellings. I think that Eriksen should go. I'm sure many people would agree with me on that. Christian Eriksen hasn't really been playing that well. And he hasn't been doing so for quite a while, it would seem. Secondly, I go with Serge Aurier. Reasons being, he's very good going forward, I feel, but then going back, he's abysmal. And lastly, I go with Danny Rose. Credit to Danny Rose where it's due, because he's been a great servant for Spurs. However, I feel that his time's come for him to leave the club. As sad as it may be, I feel it's necessary.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can I wish you all a very, very happy new year to you and your family. As for the questions, here we go. 3 players we want out and 3 players we want in. Well, the players I want out would be, I'd go for Danny Rose, Eriksen, and I'm going to go for someone slightly different to everyone else. I am going to look at probably the El Kelso. Players in, Madison from Leicester. What a player he is. Players in. Abrahams from Chelsea. All right, don't look at me like that. And centre half. Let's have a think. Maguire from Man United. Love him. Good player. And now, once again, Happy New Year, everyone.
The 3 players I'd like to see leave Tottenham in January. Number 1, Christian Eriksen. I just don't think his heart is in it to play for us any longer. So let's see what money we can sell him for. Number 2, despite the fact that he's already said quite openly that he wants to run down his contract, I would look to see if we could sell Danny Rose. And then 3rd player for me would be Victor Wanyama. Played well whilst he's been with us, but I think now has fallen down the pecking order given the quality that we have in midfield. So that's the 3rd player for me that I'd like to see Tottenham sell. In terms of buying in January, I would love to see another fullback come in. I think we are a little bit short at the back. And generally as a direct replacement for Danny Rose, I'd look at the guy at Ajax, Tagliafico. I'd also love to see Ziyech from Ajax. He made such a difference to the game when we played out there in the semi-final. Very much an attacking midfielder, but one that I would love to see at the Lane. And then for me, I think the 3rd player that I'd like to see signed up is Lo Celso. We've got him on loan at the moment, but let's make that deal permanent, because I understand if we sign him in January, we get a cheaper option to purchase.
So the players that I'd like to, or the positions I would like to see covered are left back, right back and a backup striker. I'd like to see us let go Christian Eriksen, Serge Aurier and Danny Rose.
3 players I'd like us to sign in January. Paulo W. Can't see that happening, unfortunately. I think the image rights would be too difficult in negotiation and too costly probably for us. The other 2 I'd like to see are really ones for the future and the rebuild of the team. Max Aarons from Norwich, really good fullback, and Jared Bowen from Hull, proven goal scorer in the Championship, and Harry needs cover. 3 I'd like to see us sell. As Daniel has always said, it's always difficult to sell someone against their wishes. I would like to see Kyle Walker-Peters go, because he needs to be playing football. He needs 90 minutes week in, week out to show what he's really capable of. And I think he is capable of being a damn good player. Certainly Premiership standard. I don't think he's got a fair crack of the whip over the last 3 years. Christian Eriksen, he's always been a bit Marmite to me. He's a brilliant player. A little bit of a flat track bully maybe. Doesn't appear in the big games and certainly ain't prepared to stick his foot in for a tackle. Runs the hard yards, but he wants to move. He don't want to be with us anymore. So I'd like to see him go. And Victor Wanyama, I don't think he's ever going to be the player he was. He had that brilliant 12-18 months for us. Injuries probably have dulled his game and his fitness levels, so I'd like to see him go as well.
Well, I think we need to strengthen January. I'll say right back, because we need a bit of cover in the right back position. Quite fancy that guy from Norwich. Is it Max Aarons, I believe his name is. I'd like to see a bit more backup, central midfield, and a backup to Haine. I'd love to see Debaila, but I can't see that one happening. There's not really too many central defenders I can name, but an attacking one would be quite good. Just maybe, if Eriksen does go, bring someone in the Eriksen mould.
The players that I think are surplus to the Tottenham need and the style of what they need to play are the following. I think Victor Wanyama needs to move on. I also think Serge Aurier needs to move on, and also Sanchez. None of those players I feel are cutting the grade right now and need to move on to find greener pastures. Come on, you Spurs.
Players I think we should sign. I think Traore, he ran rings around us at Wolves, and I think all the players were up for him coming along. I think he'd be a great addition. Bit of speed and pace in that midfield. Got to sort the midfield out. I think Bale, imagine if Bale came back. He'd be brilliant for us. So yeah, I'd like to see him back. And then players I think we should sell. He's got to get rid of Eriksen, definitely. Wanyama's kind of surplus now. He hasn't played much. And, you know, is Lamella, is he going to get the best out of Lamella? I don't know, so I guess they'd be my three. Come on, you Spurs.
In January, I think if there's 3 players that I'd like to see out the door, one for sure would be Victor Wanyama, who's been of no use to us really since getting injured in that first game at Wembley, when we conceded the late goal, and I think injured his knee in that incident, and really since then, you know, I don't think Victor's played a game back to back once in that time, and sadly, you know, he's a people talk about the miss that Moussa Dembele is, but Victor Wanyama's a huge miss too, and that pairing of Dembele and Wanyama has just not been replaced. So sadly, I think we were all disappointed to see that Victor didn't make the move in the summer. We knew that he probably wasn't going to be part of the first team squad, and you know, even in Munich when everyone else went, he was really only used for, was it the last 10 minutes? So I think Victor Wanyama sadly would be one of those players gone, and one of those players that is registered for the Champions League places that we're never going to use. The second one for me would be Danny Rose. Again, I've been a big critic of Danny Rose. Again, sadly, injuries have played their part, and he is no longer the 2016 player. People say there's glimpses of it. There isn't glimpses of it. He is nowhere near that player. And I think with Danny, the off-the-field dislike of Daniel Levy, I don't think it's that he doesn't play for the manager, but I think he doesn't play for Tottenham Hotspur in the same way. The constant comments, the sniping that goes on, shows that his interest really isn't in the football club as such. And I think Danny would be the second one. I can't remember the last time I saw Danny Rose have a good game, so Danny would be the second one out. And then the third one out would be, sadly, Christian Eriksen, who isn't going to sign a contract. It's a constant distraction. We don't seem to be able to move on from Christian Eriksen. We all say that we lack the creativity to replace him, and yet whilst he's there, we're not replacing him. We're not giving minutes that he uses to Lo Celso because he's still there. So for me, any move for Christian Eriksen out would bring closure to it. And I think we need closure from Christian Eriksen's deal. And as mad as it may seem to some, I don't think we're going to get a club offer us the 40 million. I don't think so anyway. Not even a 20 million for a player that they know they can sign in at the end of the season. And maybe even if we do get an offer, it will be an offer that he won't take. So for me, I'd be sitting down with him saying, look, where's the intention? And if it is Madrid or Barcelona and that's where he knows he's going, I'd try and reach a sensible deal with them for 10 million quid, 5 million quid, and I'd have to bite the bullet if they said, no, we're waiting until May. Then I'd be more tempted to give him the free transfer and get it done now. In terms of players in, I can't give you names because I don't watch enough European football and I don't know what Mourinho wants from players. But for me, definitely we need a new right back that can defend and is okay going forward. And I think we also need a player in the Eric Dyer position in front of that back four. And we need Tanguy Ndombele to sign for us because it feels like he hasn't signed. He is such a massive part of what we need in midfield. And so maybe a physio for Tanguy Ndombele or a mind's doctor for Tanguy Ndombele would be my third signing.